What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure EVil MMA. I have a special guest for us here today who has an upcoming fight in just a matter of, a couple of weeks here for Pure FC. We have Calyn the Albino Hull, who's 4-0 currently right now, and his upcoming fight is going down on July 28th for Pure FC on the main card. He's a heavyweight, 265 pounds. His opponent with a record of 2-2, Jordan Sovser. Am I pronouncing that right?
I think it might be Seifzer, but I think it's along that line, yeah.
Yeah, you want to be respectful, get his name as close as I can.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining me here today. It's been a busy week, man, in MMA. What have you been up to, this week, getting ready for this fight and about 4 weeks out?
Yeah, I mean, it's, like you said, it's been a huge week for MMA as well. Kind of big 226 coming up this weekend, which I'm really excited for. But I've just been getting back into the gym, regularly training, just kind of getting through vacations and whatnot. Recovering from my last fight, but I'm feeling great, ready to go. Just back into the gym, back into that grind, that cycle that I'm really falling in love with.
So currently, right now, I mean, you came into your pro career, you got the submission, you got 2 more wins, you got another submission. Now, how do you see this fight going down? Do you see it going the distance? Do you see it getting a submission, or do you not like to really share how you see it?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to come at me hard and aggressive. He has with most of my fights. He'll be the best wrestler I've faced so far. And me with a big wrestling background, I don't mind that at all. I do not see this going the distance at all. It'll probably be some sort of TKO or submission with me on top, obviously.
You see it going down in the first, the second, the third?
Probably the second. Like I said, he's going to come at me pretty hard. I'm going to weather that storm shortly, and then I'm going to take over. And then from there, we'll see how he's feeling. But I don't think he'll be at the cardio level that I've been training at and ready for, because he's coming up from 205. He asked for me specifically. So he's got to come up in that weight and meet me there.
Well, listen, how tall are you, man? Because you do not look like you're bigger than me. And I'm only, 219. And you're going to be fighting at 265. How tall are you?
I'm 6'6", and I usually weigh in around 245.
Wow. All right, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense here. So when you're walking around the cage, and people kind of compare, like, oh my God, the guy reminds me of Stefan Struve, or you get compared to any of these other tall, lanky fighters. I mean, 6'6", man. I mean, if you're not in basketball, MMA was probably your route.
Well, wrestling was a big family sport, so that's kind of why I was going towards wrestling. I haven't got any real comparisons, but I think a long, lanky Struve is probably pretty accurate to compare me to, at least body size wise.
Well, let's get in. Since it's a heavyweight going down this weekend between Stipe and DC, you're just briefly talking about that, man. I'm really excited for this fight. I mean, this is a super fight, as everybody knows. DC, the late heavyweight champ, going against Stipe, the heavyweight champ. I just spoke to Rosendo Sanchez, man, and he was telling me, he was like, I don't see this fight going the distance. How do you see this fight going down between DC and Stipe?
So as I've kind of read other people's analysis and looked into this, I've kind of broken it down to where I read someone had it broken down in these categories, and I kind of make my analysis off that, where it's Stipe's got great striking and good wrestling versus DC, who's got good striking and great wrestling. And when you look at it kind of simply like that, I think the great wrestling trumps all in that situation. So, and also being a wrestler, I'm always biased towards them. So I'm leaning towards DC getting usually some sort of TKO in the third or the fourth.
You know what? I've been seeing a lot of people actually going for the third or the fourth. Usually with Stipe, though. I mean, even though we're seeing much more love for DC in the past couple of years, I mean, it really feels like he's coming to his own. This is going to be a real tough fight for DC. But you know what? For Stipe, man, we haven't seen a heavyweight do what he's been able to do. That last fight that he had against Francis Ngannou, he really proved himself to everybody. Like, listen, I mean, his exact words were, there's levels to this thing. I think DC actually said that. But either way, man, there are levels to this thing, because you know what? You can't just have one area that you're good at. You can't just be striking.
Right.
You got to be somewhat well-rounded.
Stipe showed just how smart of a fighter he truly has become over the meat grinder that he's been through to come to the top. I mean, it's hard, real hard not to like that man, and how he's handled himself throughout this whole thing. He had a game plan against Francis and never broke from that game plan, which is really smart to do. Even when Francis was broken, he still stuck to that game plan and never wavered from it for fear that, you know, there's always that puncher's chance. So for him to do that showed just how far he's come along in the knowledge aspect of the sport, not just the techniques.
And you know what? Also, Francis Ngannou's on this card as well, going up against Derek Lewis.
That
I mean, this is a fight we've been wanting to see, but kind of been waiting to put it off for the stars to align. I mean, this is going to be hopefully one of the best.
Slugfest.
Yeah, one of the best heavyweight fights of the year. How do you see this fight going down? How do you see this one playing out?
It's real hard to see this one really getting outside of the first round because they're just going to be swinging at each other hard, and one of them's going to connect, and it's going to be an entertaining fight. But it's going to, I can't, maybe Francis because he's got a little bit of reach, but it's hard to pick one in this fight because those two will just brawl and throw, and both of those guys can probably take some real punches. So this is going to be a very entertaining fight, but I'm leaning towards Francis, barely.
I'm hoping to see another, Vanderlei versus Brian, the greatest American. Hoping to see another one of those. That would be good.
Yes. Yeah. That would definitely be worth the price and pay-per-view for that one.
Guys, there's so many good heavyweights. Me and James McSweeney were talking about yesterday that have been coming into the scene the last couple of years. Some nice, fresh new faces. Without Ultimate Fighter bringing in fresh new faces for the heavyweight division, I mean, it's been a long time since they've done that. Are you kind of bummed out about that, or are you trying to hope to get on to maybe Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series? Because they're bringing on guys that are 4, 5, 6 fights, but they don't really know what to do with them because they're so inexperienced and not at the level that they should be to come into the UFC. What's your game plan for the future here?
My number one game plan right now is really develop my striking. That's where I need to advance. And I know I have an 80-inch reach, but it's now learning how to use that 80-inch reach. Being, like I've said multiple times now, a wrestling background, I love to kind of be in that clinch and close, but I can't always be there because you got those short, powerful guys that would love to be there as well. I need to learn that length and keeping guys off and using my kicks and using my jab. That's and developing all those striking instincts inside the cage. That's goal number one. Goal number two is getting myself at UFC or Bellator or heck, one overseas. They pay pretty well for their fighters overseas, and it's just get myself out there and ready for the next level is where I'm at.
So something that might surprise a lot of people, this is going to be your 5th fight this year?
Yes. Not this year, no. 5th fight overall.
5th fight overall. Hold on, let me check Tapology, because Tapology says, oh no, you had one canceled bout so far.
Yes, yeah.
And then this is going to be your 4th fight this year, correct?
So I fought, what was my pro debut was last
June 24th. They have it on here.
Yeah. Yeah, 4th fight this year. I didn't even realize it. Yeah, January, March, June, and yeah, this one.
So I started the question off though. I started the question off. People might not know this, but you didn't even know how many times you fought this year.
Well, it's just how I train and how I is just pretty much always be ready because I don't know when my opportunities are going to come, especially as a heavyweight and the division being kind of weak as a whole. It could come at a moment's notice. So my training has not changed in camp or out of camp. So that's why it just kind of dawned on me. It's like, oh yeah, it has been 4 times, but it doesn't matter to me because I'm always ready to go.
You're just pretty much fine tuning yourself. You're kind of in that stage where just like, man, you're just literally grinding. You're not really paying attention to what's going on around you. You're so focused, it seems, especially if you don't know how many times you fought so far this year. And I got to ask, man, being a part of LFA or Pure FC, you're going to be a part of a lot of young up-and-comer guys that you're going to see around you get brought up to the UFC. What is it like fighting on a promotion like LFA or Pure FC? Because a lot of those guys have made it big.
Yeah. Well, Pure FC and the guys at Pure Vita, they've been nothing but respectful towards me, and I love fighting for that organization. They brought me on as an amateur for fights, and they had my debut there. They've been always willing to promote me and put my name out there and everything like that, so I love fighting for those guys. And then LFA has been phenomenal exposure for me, even with this last win being, and I finally made it to the television card with that Deblek fight, and getting a arm triangle choke in the second has really put my name out there more than I could have imagined in such a short period of time. So I love being part of these organizations and being and also meeting all these up and coming fighters as well, and getting to talk with them and see what their training's like and how their goals are playing out. And it's been a hell of a ride. It's been so much fun, and it's all trajecting up, and I'm loving it.
You know, I feel like a lot of guys out there, once they're, in their young career, they get a crazy performance or an amazing highlight, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure on that fighter, and some fighters can't handle that. And once you get to the next level, the stage of the UFC, it's very hard to get away with, some of the flashier things that you see at some of the younger organizations. Are you feeling any pressure at all because of that performance that you've had that stuck out?
Not really. The only pressure I feel is the pressure I put on myself and striving for that next level and providing. I'm trying to use this avenue of fighting to provide a future for my two little girls that I have, 9 and 11-year-old,
Wow.
and that's the only pressure I'm feeling. I'm not worried about it performance-wise. If it's a fighting sport, anything can happen. I'm ready and prepared. I'm 4-0 now, but this is a unforgiving and forgiving sport at the same time. I'm going to see some real tough fighters, and I'm hopefully getting to the point where my next fight will always be the best opponent I've seen yet, and anything can happen, win or lose. I'm ready to just move on and grind. There's no pressure here that I feel other than just anything I really put on myself.
You make a great point, man. This sport is very unforgiving. That's definitely for sure. And it's also very selfish. And when it comes to the point where it's, your family, you got two little girls, it really changes things up. It's not like you're on the baseball diamond. Like you were in there throwing fisticuffs and, trying to hurt the other guy to go home was, a little money or a little respect. But, at the end of the day, man, going back home, seeing those two little girls, how do you explain to them what you do?
I don't sugarcoat it. I tell them exactly what's going on, but I also say we both agreed and signed a contract to do this. There are rules we must follow. So I don't want them going out and just start throwing punches at other friends or anything like that. It's just this is agreed upon. We know exactly what we're getting into. This isn't some random thing happening on the street. So they understand that. They've seen a few of my fights or any of those fights that have been on YouTube. I have no problem them watching it. They're a little young, I think, to go to the events right now, but they're loving it, and they're come home after a victory and just hearing them smile and big hugs. It's just there's no high that matches that.
I mean, Jesus, when I was growing up, I thought it was so cool that my dad hung out with all these motorcycle guys, and my mom was like a hippie and a nurse, and I could only imagine what a kid would think if their parent was a fighter. I mean, to the parent, it must be like, all right, I gotta show them that exactly what you're saying. Like this is a contract, but in the minds of a child, it's still fighting, and there's going to be kids at school that are going to be talking about it if they find out about it and maybe challenge them. Are you worried about that at all, or no?
I mean, they talk about it all the time. They have their own shirts and hats like I have here.
That's awesome.
All the time. I mean, they brag about me. They tell me to their teachers. So I'm not worried about that so much right now. If it gets to that point, I think it's a situation where we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and how to handle those people that aren't really being supportive, that are just being negative. But it's all good stuff around here. I got so much love and support in this area. It's insane.
And that kind of gets me into the next question, man. Do you think now that it's 2018, our sport's kind of gained a little more respect as an actual sport instead of a blood sport like it used to be, named?
Well, obviously it has. You can see it through the sports news outlets, the attention it gets towards anything. A lot of that credit, whether you'd like to admit it or not, has to go to Conor McGregor and everything he's done with his mouth to develop this sport. And it's while you kind of get the double-edged sword of is this kind of WWE, we still bring a lot more eyes into this and some more legitimacy. I mean, heck, would you have ever expected an MMA organization to sign a deal with ESPN? It's clear this sport is still trajecting up.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And you make a really good point about Conor McGregor. I just saw Ronda Rousey on a Twizzler commercial, which is really no surprise, but it just shows our sport is definitely moving in the right direction towards the ESPN deal. But the other thing, man, is, there's been a lot of growing with realizing that this is more of an entertainment business as just as much as it is fighting. Are you starting to realize that now as a pro?
Oh, absolutely. You have to have, I hate to use the term gimmick, but that's the best thing I can usually use to describe it is in something that brings attention to you if you want to be noticed. I'm not a big smack talker or anything like that. I never have been. I've always been one of the guys that lets their performance do the talking. So if I'm gonna have some sort of gimmick, if you will, it's just gonna be a guy that jokes around and has fun and makes light of everything. And because that's just generally how I've always been. I'm focused and ready to go when it's time for business. But outside of that, it's just fun and having a great time. It's how I stay motivated with this sport. Because if you're serious on it all the time, you're just gonna burn out.
You know what? Yeah, man. Well, you fought 4 times so far this year. Do you think 2019 is going to kind of, trend on the same number?
If I keep coming out of fights healthy like I have been, absolutely. 3 of those four fights, I didn't take hardly any damage at all. So, which is why I've been able to fight so much. I learned a real hard lesson 2 fights ago when I fought Patrick Martin. Was the first real heavyweight opponent I faced with some experience, and that 3rd round we had was a real slugfest. Really, it was just him slugging on me because I had gassed myself so hard in the 1st and 2nd. So that's the only fight I've come out of where I really looked like I took some damage. So I've been real fortunate to come out all my fights relatively unscathed.
So before we let you go here, man, you already gave us your predictions for UFC 226, and you gave us our predictions for your fight. But you know what? I'm really interested in how many times you fought so far this year because we're only in July. So July, August, September, October, November, December. You still got 5 more months to go here, man. So I hope you stay healthy. I hope you get another win. What do you know about your opponent before we let you go, though? Because I think it's only fair to get his side to see, what he's kind of like. Do you know anything about him?
I know my opponent has a wrestling background, and he comes at his opponents when he's fighting pretty aggressive and for those clinches and for those takedowns. So I'm expecting him to come out the same way in this fight and throwing hard, trying to connect to my chin, which I'm not going to let him do. If he wants to get into a wrestling match, that's great because I know, one, I'm bigger, stronger, and a better wrestler than him. So he'd just be coming into my world, and I'd give him a little harsh awakening there.
Last but not least, man, as we close out the end of this interview, if you have any sponsors, anything that you want to say at all, the floor is all yours.
I just want to say thank you first for having me on. I really appreciate the interview and the opportunity to talk about myself and promote myself a little bit. Second, I got to thank everyone at my gym that I work with. I got to watch out in the next contender series for Alton Cunningham. He's my main training partner. He'll be on June 10th for the contender series. And then lastly, I have to thank my parents and my family, whose insane amount of love and support has allowed me to pursue fighting and the coaching I do and everything like that. So thank you.
So July 10th, Cunningham, what's his name?
Alton Cunningham.
Okay, awesome. So that's going to be going down next week, guys, and we have a busy week going on so far. Are you going to be watching UFC 226, Calyn?
Oh, of course. I'm not going to miss that one. This card has real potential to be the best card they've put on so far. I'm excited.
And where can people find you on social media? Are you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook? Where can people find you?
I have all 3 of those. I'm most active on my Instagram. I just usually link that to my Facebook and Twitter. It's at Albino Rhino MMA.
Thank you so much, Calyn. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for joining me here on Pure EVil MMA.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
There you guys go. Calyn the Albino Rhino. I don't know why I keep stumbling on all that. What's going on, Ann? Thanks for tuning into the chat room. I know I didn't pull the chat room in here. So let me pull it in really quickly. Get the old pop out chat. Guys, I cannot wait. Last night we finished up. Me and James Sweeney, we finished up, the podcast that we did. And we still don't have a name for it yet. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to. We've had so many suggestions for names. So Ann checking in the chat room in case you guys listen to the podcast. And hello, Eddie and Hull. What's going on, Ann? Eddie, Mike says hello to you and Hull. What's going on, Mike? Ann, Eddie, where did he get his nickname from? Damn. That was a good question. The Albino Rhino. If I could guess, he told me that he was 6'6". So, he's a big boy. He's white. So the albino, he's a big heavyweight. Because first, when he called in, I was like, this guy's 265. I was like, I look a little bit bigger than him. And I've lost another couple of pounds. I was at 229, then I was at 219. Now I'm at 215, and I'm doing the lose your weight dance right now. So, I was kind of surprised, and it makes sense. The guy's 6'6", the albino rhino. It's a great name for the guy. I couldn't be any happier. He's fighting for Pure FC in just a matter of days, man, July 28th. And then he's also fought for LFA before. And I will tell him that you said hello. I will send him a text message and said that we missed the chat room. But you know what? UFC 226 is going to be going down, guys. I spoke with James McSweeney on our podcast. You guys can check that out on our YouTube page. It's not here on Pure EVil MMA, but it is on the Pure EVil MMA iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic channel, and also now on Spotify. And check it in. Oh, wow, big guy. He is cool, good interview. Yeah, man. He is actually a part of Kobe. Kobe, shout out. I can't forget Kobe. Kobe's the one who set me up with this interview from Kobe's Corner. You know, big shout out to Kobe. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's going to be coming back to do any MMA, if he's going to be reporting on MMA anymore. It looks like he's making that shift to NBA. And I will say this. I do love Kobe, but I also tweeted this out. I'm a little tired of seeing all of these MMA journalists talk about NBA or baseball. It's like, come on, man. People are following you to get information about MMA. They don't care about basketball, which is why I'm kind of worried about this ESPN deal. All right. It's good for your sports diehard fans, and it's good because, your baseball fans, they're going to get updates on their phone about MMA, and it's just kind of over time build its way into their head where it's just like, another part of their day where it's like, they're actually seeing MMA updates, Connor's next fight, and they'll be talking about it more because they're getting those updates from ESPN. I mean, all my friends have the ESPN app, but a little worried because, you're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay for the ESPN Plus app, and you're going to have to watch. You don't have to, but it also includes all these other packages. I don't care about baseball, basketball, football, and don't get me wrong, I played all these sports, but I haven't followed them for years. Why? Because MMA is where it's at in this new millennium. 2020 almost, cage fighting has turned into mixed martial arts in a lot of people's minds. I mean, back in the day, it's like, oh, I'm a cage fighter. People usually don't say that anymore. I'm a mixed martial artist. It's gaining a lot more respect throughout the years. Me and Hull were just talking about it. I think it's a good move to go to ESPN, but at the same time, I'm a little worried about it. And I'm a little shaken up that, I don't want to spend, $10 and I get all these MLB, I get this and that. I only want UFC. I'm just happy with my UFC Fight Pass. It's very frustrating that they're changing all this right when we're kind of getting comfortable with UFC Fight Pass. I mean, Fight Pass can use a lot of changes. It still can use, a good update, but at the same time, ESPN Plus, I know they're going to do a good job with it. I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I'm not sure how I feel about it. How do you guys feel about this? Let me know. We got a fake Ann in here. I see a fake Ann. If it wasn't a fake, what was it last week? Henry Ford. We had 2 Henry Fords, now we got 2 Anns. So, no. We ain't playing around with Ann. Ann's not someone we play around with here. Ann straight blood, son. So, listen, before we let you go, we are just a couple of days out from UFC 226. Stipe Miocic versus DC. I kind of gave my predictions on the podcast. I'm going to upload that video right now for you guys. There are so many great fights. I mean, 2 days nonstop. Holloway versus Ortega, really quick. I'm kind of leaning towards Ortega. Ngannou versus Lewis. Want to lean towards Lewis. For some, Simon says Ngannou. Michael Chiesa versus Showtime Pettis. Leaning towards Showtime Pettis. Saki versus Roundtree. I would love Saki to win. But, man, he got pieced up in his last fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Roundtree comes through. Then we got Felder versus Perry. I really don't know there. I'm 75% Paul Felder. Hooker versus Burns. I got Hooker all day, baby. Hooker all day. That didn't sound right. Then we got Brad Tavares versus Israel Adesanya. That's going down the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale show. That is a fight where I'm real interested in. Because you got somebody like Israel, a young up-and-coming guy. You got somebody like Brad Tavares, who's fought some of the toughest names in the division throughout the last couple of years. But I will say this about him. Since 2012, 13, 14, that's 4 years ago now. Brad Tavares has kind of taken a step down in competition. And don't hit me with this. You can rebuttal. Give me your best rebuttal on this. But I feel like he's kind of stepped down in competition. He's one of those guys where they tried to throw him in the upper echelon in the top 10, top 5, and wasn't able to get his footing. So they kind of lowered him back down to fight some of these other guys, kind of like we're seeing with Showtime Pettis right now. Whereas, Michael Chiesa, he's not really a step down, but I hope you guys catch my drift here, my comparison with this. But I'm a little nervous because it's still not fight night. So I don't know who I'm going to be picking here. Is it going to be Israel Adesanya? Is it going to be Brad Tavares? I'm a little nervous what everyone's going to say about what I just said. But I want to know what you think about that because, this is a step up in competition for Israel, without a doubt. And I'm not making any bashes against Brad Tavares at all. I was kind of shocked when this fight came out. I was like, this fight, seriously, what does this fight do for Brad Tavares if he wins? It's going to prove to him that, all right, maybe I am a top 10 guy. Stop feeding me these up-and-comers. But it's a proving ground for him as well, for both guys. But it does more for Israel than it's going to do for Brad Tavares at the end of the day. Let's see what we got going on in the chat room. Should I pull it back in? All right, let's see. Owen Young checking in. MMA is where it is at. Truth, brother. Yeah, without a doubt, man. I'm just getting so fed up seeing all these. Like, listen, if I'm following you on Twitter, it's because you're in the MMA scene. You're part of the MMA family or whatever. You're an MMA journalist or maybe you're just an MMA blogger. And there's a difference between a journalist and a blogger. Me and James were talking about this last night, and it was really getting under my skin when I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, man, you're right. And it's awesome that people can just easily make a YouTube channel and, jump on the platform and do what they want on Twitter or talk trash, whatever, or troll. But you know what? It's kind of disrespectful to people like James or people like me when you hear some of the disrespectful things that these so-called journalists or bloggers or MMA bashers say. I spent a lot of my time and money in broadcasting school. I was trained by the best at ESPN. I was trained by the people who invented ESPN. Like, I put my time and energy. I did my first interview when I was very young. So it's just very disrespectful when you see these guys that just make an account and they start calling fighters out, disrespecting all the hard work that actual journalists have put in, actual fighters have put in, and it rubs me the wrong way. And me and James kind of went off on it last night, so you guys can check that out on the iTunes, Podbean, Spotify channel. But yeah, right now, 2018, almost 2019, mixed martial arts has that vibe to it right now, where it's just like, there's no way you can't be at the edge of your seat. You see a lot of these upcoming guys from local scenes in the last couple of years that have made it to the big show. It's very exciting to see. And 226 picks are an absolute minefield, Eddie. It really is. A lot of these fights can go either way. It's a real pick 'em for a lot of the, let's go back. Let's see. Holloway versus Ortega, man. Ortega, he gets pieced up on the feet. It's no joke. But he has that threat to him. And that's something that the game needs. That's something the featherweight division definitely needs. The featherweight division was not, Conor said it all the time, featherweight division was not headline cards. Until, Conor McGregor stepped up and then, over time, now we have Max Holloway, obviously. And there has been some great contenders in the featherweight division. But Brian T. City Ortega, man, he's been in the UFC for the past 4 years, not really making any noise. He's not really good with his stand-up, but man, he has that secret move where it's just like, you really got to watch yourself. You MMA holes checking in the live chat. And saying, tough finale, going to be good. MMA is the best sport around, without a doubt. MMA holes, wonderful, wonderful. And Eddie, sometimes you got to let off steam. I did. And it's true, man. Like, I was just saying, I don't want to go back, but there's a lot of people out there that, just hop on a platform and they just badmouth our sport and they have no background. Where is your background to be a journalist? Where is your background to be a broadcaster? Where is your background to even have an opinion that matters to these fighters? That's one thing that rubs me the wrong way. And of course, 2018, freedom of speech, do what you want, these platforms and not. But why do I only have 340 subscribers on here? But yet there's other, people out there that haven't done what I've done. And they have 10 million subscribers, 10 million views. It just blows my mind. Some people that are just not qualified for the field. And maybe I spent a little bit too much time on my podcast, not boosting up the YouTube channel. But, this year, we need to get those subs going. And I need some help from the MMA holes. I will say it. I'm going to say it. I need help from the MMA hole family to get the sub count up. I don't know what it is I have to do here on YouTube. I think I definitely earned my spot. And shout out to Kobe's Corner, for hooking me up with this interview here. It's going to be, he's going to be missed. Let me say my piece on Kobe. I don't know exactly what Kobe is going to be doing with his future, if he's going to be sticking with NBA, but to see how he's gone from MMA, busting his ass, giving some of the best opinions out there, better than some of these guys that get paid for it on ESPN or some of these major outlets. He's stepping away to focus on NBA, and his sub count goes up. His views, 10,000. I ain't complaining at Kobe, man. That is awesome. This is something I wanted to see happen when he was in the MMA scene. And it boggles my mind how there's MMA fans out there that don't see somebody like Kobe and are like, I need to absorb everything he says because it's so there's a lot of knowledge there. You're going to be learning a lot. It's not just nonsense and bartering and joking around. Kobe had a lot of intelligent things to say. I get so mad. I'm 29 years old. I go to family parties or go to the bar. I get so frustrated if I talk to somebody and they cannot hold an intelligent conversation with me. Yeah, it's fun to goof around. It's fun to joke off, but I'm too old to be goofing off. I want to learn more about the sport. That's what our audience should be about as well. So I am clearly upset that Kobe has left the scene. I enjoyed a lot of his content. I'm going to miss a lot of his interviews, and it's a loss to the MMA community. And I haven't seen anybody say anything to the guy. I don't know why. I have not seen one person reach out to Kobe and say, man, you did such an amazing job. You are going to be missed. We hope for the best. We hope you come back to the mixed martial arts media scene. It's not going to be the same, man. I'm real bummed about it. I really am. Checking in the chat room. We chose the wrong sport. The MMA hole's checking in, and we chose the wrong sport. You know what? Did we, though? I mean, baseball has it's been, the foundation for baseball has been made over the years. I mean, our fathers, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers all watched the sport. I mean, we kind of grew up learning about it, playing it in gym. You don't play wrestling in gym class or mixed martial arts in gym class, maybe in the backfield, but man, it's definitely growing in the last couple of years, but it's not still there with pay-per-view buys yet, and I don't understand it. It's like there's so much excitement going on, but the numbers really aren't there. I don't know if that's to do with illegal streaming. I mean, it goes both ways. I don't know why my sub count's so down. I don't know why my views are so down. I think I give you guys some great opinions. I think I bring you guys some great interviews. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on in our sport? Why are amazing journalists leaving our sport for basketball? It's upsetting, man. It's upsetting. So let me move on to my last prediction here. Let's go back. DC versus Cormier. We keep talking about this. I think Stipe is going to get it. Holloway versus Ortega. I want Holloway, but there's something inside me that's screaming Ortega, man. And listen, this is kind of reminding me of a fight with Max Holloway versus T-City. Almost reminds me of Stipe versus Francis Ngannou, where it's like he has that knockout power and T-City has that chokeout power. But if you look at Max Holloway stand-up, what he was able to do against Jose Aldo, and you look at T-City stand-up, where he's gone against Marciano or his last couple of opponents, they've all pieced him up. Max Holloway, I think he's a lot better than people are giving him credit for in the last couple of years. And yes, he is the champion. He's really coming into his own. But I feel if he can get past T-City here, it's going to really click in people's minds like this is the real deal. This is the actual featherweight champion. And when you got people like Drake rapping about freaking Max on his new album, moving in the right direction. Once again, the sport is moving in the right direction. Pumped. I'm excited. We have an exciting week ahead of us. Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale going down. Lewis Penning just came on the show the other day. The energy in this guy, you can go on his Instagram page and check it out. You can just feel that energy, that vibe, that excitement there. And there's nothing like it in the sport. You don't really see that in basketball, football, baseball, as much as you do in MMA. And the reason being is because MMA grew up on the internet. You got to remember, back in the day, I don't know how many of you guys were around, but the MMA Underground and all these online forums that we used to check in on and talk to the fighters on there wasn't ESPN. ESPN didn't care about us like they do now, or they say they do now. We had online forums. So I feel like a lot of these fighters, they feel like they're paying back. They're doing what they've known so far, which is online media for MMA. And the online scene for mixed martial arts is very tight. At the same time, there's a lot of disrespectful people out there that really rub me the wrong way. So hopefully we don't get any of that in here. All right, what do we got going on here? Owen Young, you don't choose MMA. MMA chooses you. And that is the truth. Ain't that the damn truth? And I've said this before in the last couple of streams, but when I go to these even the local shows, Bellator or CES, Cage Titans, whatever, you're seeing families show up, literally full families show up with their daughter, their son, their aunt, their uncle. They're showing it. They don't know the fighters in the ring. Maybe they do. But I'm saying back in the day, we used to go to baseball, football, basketball games with our mom and dad. Now you're seeing parents bring their kids to mixed martial arts fights. I fucking love every part of that. I love it. It does make me a little worried, how fighters explain to their children, what they do. Because like I was saying to Hull, I was like, man, if my father was a biker guy, hang out with a lot of, motorcycle jacket clubs and whatnot. My mom, a hippie. I thought that was so cool. I could only imagine if my father or my mother was a fighter. I mean, my ego would be through the fucking roof. So you got to be careful if you're a fighter and you have children, or, you can really take it the wrong way. It's really, if being a fighter, you're a gangster, man, in my book. If you're a fighter, you're going in there and you step inside of a cage, that takes a lot. And people look at that and they think they can do it. And man, I don't know how many of you guys have been in fights, but I was the only white kid in my city, so I've had to really stand up for myself when I was younger. And I've been into a couple of fights, and it's never fun to be in a fight. And here's the thing, though. At that young age, you're going to get into scraps. When you get to an adult, those punches to the face, it's going to hurt for a little longer than it did when you were a kid. These guys that are 38, 39 years old that are still doing it, man, you got to give them so much credit. And when you got somebody like Stipe Miocic going through the trenches like he's did in the past few years, that one loss to Stipe, that one loss to Struve, everybody holds over his head. But if you look at the leaps and bounds that guy's gone through and the power he has, even moving backwards, man. So much respect for Stipe Miocic. And I would love if he defends the title once again. It would be upsetting if DC loses, and a lot of people are wondering, if DC loses, will he be retired? The answer is no. I do not see him retiring. I think he will go back down to light heavyweight. I don't think if he won against Stipe, maybe he would defend the title, but you know what? Let's say, all right, so say for instance, Stipe loses, DC wins. What do you do next with DC? Do you have him stay there? Because I was talking about this with James. Kane really can't jump in and be like, all right, give me that title shot. It's probably not the best idea. As much as I want to see that, especially if DC wins, there's no way that's going to happen. What about Curtis Blades? If DC wins, I would love to see him fight Curtis Blades. That would be a great fight. Also you got to remember Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. If one of those guys are next in line, I don't think DC wants anything to do with either or. Owen, check it in. When is my sister? And saying MMA fans are the best and are very passionate about their sport, and that's 100%. Listen, it's like that for every sport. If you go into hockey, you got the bleacher creatures go to football games, those guys go sick. Baseball games, those guys go sick, especially here in New York, especially when there's a Boston game. But MMA fans, man, how could we describe an MMA fan? The Just Lead guy is the perfect explanation. The Just guy. Perfect. Every MMA fan, when you go to an MMA show, you don't want to see a decision. You want to see knockouts nonstop. That's what MMA fans want. Journalists are more interested in the technical side of things. They don't mind if you get taken down. MMA fans, they just want you to bleed, and they don't care, and they'll say what they want. Pretty brutal. Every sports fan's brutal. Who am I kidding? Eddie, I am picking DC to win and Max, says Ann. DC and Max. There are so many pick'em cards here, guys. There really are. You also have Mike Perry versus Paul Felder. Come on. Paul Felder's got to be so frustrated, man, because his last couple of fights, his opponents get pulled off. It's just bullshit. So now he has Mike Perry. And the one thing that worries me about Mike Perry is if you look at what Mike has done in fights against similar opponents like Alan Jouban. Well, Alan Jouban is almost a replica in a way of Paul Felder. We're going to see if Mike Perry has evolved since that last loss. And we're going to find out in just a couple of days here. As for Paul Felder, I really don't see Perry getting past Paul Felder. If he does, man, imagine that. Imagine if I can't. I literally cannot picture Mike Perry knocking Felder out. But if you know the sport, anything can happen. Guys, I'm doing the giveaway pick'ems. Don't forget about that if you're a part of the Pure EVil MMA family. You like that little cinema up there? DC is a beast. He has fought big guys before and picks them up and slams them like they are nothing. Says, and you know what? When he did that to Alexander Gustafsson, I was so bummed out. I had Gus that entire night. I did a fight party. Well, my friends had a fight party. And just to see what he's able to do against Gustafsson, I thought it was Gustafsson's time. That was a proving point for me. That was the time when I was like, DC really is the real deal. It took a long time to get adjusted to DC because this was a guy that was coming in and beating all my favorite fighters. No remorse. Training over at AKA with Kane, and it was only a matter of time before we saw this go down. MMA Wizard definitely should be on the main card. MMA Wizard talking about Paul Felder versus Perry. You know what? There's so many good cards, good fights on this card. I think that fight is actually better on the prelims for people who don't have money to pay. I mean, that is one fight I would definitely recommend for people who don't have the money to afford a $65, $70 pay-per-view. You get to see some of the amazing talent in the UFC like Mike Perry and Paul Felder. So that's kind of a treat right there. Mike Perry is hands down my favorite wicker. I agree with you there, MMA Holes. MMA Holes, check it in. Mike Perry, man, there's no filter on Perry. I mean, he's throwing around my ninja. He just does not care. He's getting tattoos above his eyebrow, which is something we see nowadays in our generation. I was kind of thinking about getting my tattoo above one of my eyebrows. I think that actually looks real sick. Not one of these stupid stars. I mean, come on, that looks like a fucking mole from a distance. I already got my beauty marks. I already got my Marilyn Monroe marks. I don't need none of that. I want some cool shit above my eyebrow, though, I tell you that. I mean, come on, I'm not going to be a lawyer. This is my future right here with you guys. I mean, I got evil tattooed on my fucking hand. It's called dedication. That is dedication. I don't give a fuck. I don't want a job. Tatted like I don't need jobs, ho. All right, guys, let me tune out here. I got a lot to do, a lot to get on the table. Had a great conversation with Hull. Thank you to Kobe's Corner. And Kobe, we're going to be missed. If there's one thing I can ask from you guys, if you aren't already subbed down below and whatnot, give Kobe's Corner a huge shout out for today's interview because he's the one that really hooked it up. And there's going to be a missing hole in the MMA media scene without Kobe. It's sad. It's very sad. With that being said, guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure EVil MMA, MyMMAnews.com, White Knuckles to the end. And don't take that wrong. It doesn't mean white power. White Knuckles to the end means you are grinding every day. The knuckles to the cement. You are punching through that wall till you get what is yours. So White Knuckles to the end. Behave yourselves.